the August 21st, 2015. Ian, if you call the roll, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Nasser?
Here.
Councilman Bunch? Here. Councilwoman Clancy?
Present.
Vice Mayor Lamar?
Here.
Councilman McGuire?
Present.
Councilman Lipsky? Here. Mayor Francis?
Here. Ellen, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ellen. Call to the public. Ian?
And we have one slip for call to public, Dr. Terry Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. After reading the early announcement of the agenda for tonight's meeting, I had some questions that I don't know whether they're answered in the full contract or not. Given that the cost of the contract is higher than one was expected, and there is a need to act on that additional cost, it wasn't clear whether this was a fixed price contract. And if it is not a fixed price contract, what the cost sharing arrangement would be for any overruns associated with construction. Those sorts of details would be very helpful to understand the nature of the commitment the town is making, given that the costs are already higher than we had expected. So I would be particularly interested in the relationship between the federal share. I assume that there's some prorated relationship between Carefree and Cave Creek associated with the number of miles. I'm particularly interested in whether the feds would pick up overages if it's not a fixed price contract. Thank you.
There are no other items under call to the public. This was listed as call to the public, so.
Well, that's okay.
We can address those issues when it comes to vote.
They can be addressed if need under the agenda. No, correct. Call the public is still open. Okay, we will proceed. There's a single item before the council this evening, and that is council discussion and approval of an expenditure not to exceed $50,630 as a town of Cave Creek share based on the low bidder by Nesbitt Contracting Company bid coming in $127,635 higher than the available project construction funds for the Cave Creek Road Bike Lane project. ADOT, the Arizona Department of Transportation project, number NACDK SZ09703D/01C. This was put on the agenda by the Director of Planning, Ian.
And clerk. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just as a little bit of background, just in deference to Dr. Smith's questions, the town was awarded a grant of about $3.2 million from ADOT via Maricopa Association of Government. There was an intergovernmental agreement done between the town and ADOT for both the design funds, which ADOT provided that most of the funds were the design. Cave Creek had an IGA with Carefree to cover the local match, which was, I believe, about $15,000. The implementation or construction of bike lanes, there was an IGA with ADOT for that as well, and the local match was about 5.8%. The division of the local funds was based on the total project cost between the two communities. So it was roughly 60% Carefree, 40% Cave Creek, actually 39.66%. The project went out to bid about 10 days ago. The low bidder was $127,000 over the known amount based on the construction drawings. So we, the town manager and I went to town of Carefree. We're on the phone with the project manager for ADOT with Gary Neese, the town administrator for Carefree, determined how we would pay those funds, that we had to take those funds before our respective councils for approval before we could get the money to ADOT. So we are here tonight on behalf of Cave Creek to ask for those funds. The money, I'm told by the town engineer and town manager, will be paid through the HERF funds for Cave Creek. Carefree will be holding a meeting, I believe, this Thursday to cover their portion. When we pay the funds to ADOT, they will schedule the award of the bid, and I think that would probably be mid-September. And then within 18 days, it's possible the project could start. Although I see it as an opportunity to really sit down with the contractor and work out a schedule so it doesn't impact our special event schedule and our season in our town core. I'll answer any questions you might have.
Well, Mayor, comes two things. The 60/40 Ian's talking about is based on lane miles.
Correct.
Is that?
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking at either more likely HERF, but HERF contingency, depending on what road projects we do in the spring. So right now it's 100% HERF, but it could be HERF and some contingency as for funding. Thank you.
Okay, is there an answer to the question about cost overages, if there would be?
It was addressed in the IGA between the town and ADOT. If there was a fixed amount, as I said, for the grant between the town and ADOT, if the amount went over what that grant amount was, that it would be up to the local communities, Cape Creek and Carefree, to cover the difference. And that happened.
That's what we're addressing tonight.
Um,
The contract is built in contingency? That's what you're asking?
Well, not so much in reference here. This is coming to council under the Carefree Council because the money appropriated, the low bidder was 127,000 over what was appropriated for the project.
Correct.
If council were to approve this request to augment, to get this project going, then the project gets going, and now there are cost overages that the low bidder did not foresee. How is that being?
My understanding within the contract, Mayor, is the contingency. So while this is considered an overage, at least on paper, there is still the preservation of the contingency within the overall contract. If it exceeds that contingency amount, whatever that, I forget what that amount is exactly, the town will be responsible. My understanding is ADOT will keep the folks to the contract amount.
Okay. Councilor Lipsky, question?
Yeah, so a couple questions. One is, are we very surprised by the lowest bid being this much over our estimates? Does the county have an opinion about that? Did they just sort of say, okay, that's what it's going to cost, pay up?
Councilman Lipsky, the county doesn't have a portion of it.
No, but they're managing the project, right?
No,
ADOT is running the project.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
So did the state have anything to say about it?
I spoke with the project manager, said she's not at liberty to discuss why it would have been over until the bill is awarded. But she said it's most likely costs raising of labor and material in the time frame that we started this whole process.
And you're okay with it? We're okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. And
we did add one extra thing on to the end of the contract, which the story, which was an extra 600,000, which MAG picked up for us, to be honest with you. So
Maricopa Association Government awarded us with that to cover that. So.
okay. And just one last question. So back to what the mayor was saying, if there are additional overruns,
it's split between the communities, and we do it by lane mile.
is there any? I mean, how is the contractor? To what degree are we holding the contractor to their bid? Or in any way, to the time frame? Are they promising a time frame? Are they promising?
There is a time frame, Councilman Lipsky. The project is estimated to take 141 working days. Both towns have come up with a schedule of Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Peter and I both questioned why not Friday, and the answer came back, I think I told you at the retreat, was based on the events that we have, 80% of the days were on Friday. So once we meet with the contractor, we can go back and recoup probably 20% of those days to add and possibly shorten the project time.
But if the cost comes in another $250,000 over, we just have to pay. Is that that's the situation we're getting into?
Well, that's not.
Okay, well that's my question. What what protections do we have over and above
Generally
the
with-
new 128,000 addition?
Generally with contracts, and this, Dick can probably speak better than I, there's a liquidated damages clause within that for time frame and for quality of work.
And for cost?
If I may, Mayor, I have a question for Ian. Can you explain the delay and the fact that this has not been approved by the Arizona Transportation Board, but it will be as soon as these additional funds are obligated? And therein lies your safety net. It's an ADOT project. The county has nothing to do with it.
Right.
And they anticipate going to the board when?
Originally, the bid would have been awarded tomorrow, but because of this delay in the overage and the bid amount, it will probably be mid-September. If the towns pay the invoice. Yes.
And that approval guarantees that any additional costs will be absorbed by the state.
Thank you. Council? That was the answer I was looking for.
My pleasure.
Councilman McGuire, did you have a question?
No, it's a good clarification.
Any other questions from council?
Thank you.
Okay, there is public comment on agenda item number 1.
Mayor, we have David Smith.
Mayor, council members, I'm David Smith, Cave Creek citizen. One of the concerns with this, of course, is that due to the increase in the contract price, there will be a substantial delay in getting the project started. Thank you. That substantial delay may impact some of the things going on in the town unless there's a substantial amount of oversight to ensure that that does not happen. The intergovernmental agreement that was signed by the town, both towns in fact, says that the towns will be responsible for any increase in cost. I don't know about the what Councilman Esser said about the ADOT absorbing overruns, but I've been involved in a lot of contracts where you have what are called orders on contract, and I'm sure that Councilman Lipsky has had a close relationship with this when he was producing films. Any change that you make can result in an extra cost. Any extra cost, according to the intergovernmental agreement, will be split between the two towns. We are not the overseer of the contractor. ADOT is the overseer of the contractor. Therefore, any decisions that they make may very well impact the town's finances. We are not the contract holder. That's ADOT. I just want to caution people who may have any impact on the progress of this contract that anything they do that moves things forward, anything they do that holds things up, anything they do that changes what's expected in the contract is probably going to cost money. And that, well, the town has a few dollars left in its contingency fund. It doesn't have an awful lot of dollars left in the contingency fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Public comment is still open.
Mayor, Mr. David Blair.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Thanks for letting me talk. I'm the owner of the Quick and Clean Car Wash down next to Harold's on Cave Creek Road, and my concern is the timing of this project. I went to all the public meetings about the bike lane, and I'm not opposed to the bike lane, and that's not what the subject is tonight. On the timing, I thought we were going to start in May and be done with this project in the summer months. It's tough enough as a business owner just getting through the summers up here. The summer's not been particularly good for us. But I would like to see, we're already 3 or 4 months behind schedule. Well, what's the problem with delaying it until next summer? Till, April, May, and let the town get through the season, special events. It's going to have a lot of impact on traffic when they start taking out medians. It's going to be down to 1 lane each direction. I've worked in the construction industry for a lot of my life on the asphalt side. And I just see it's gonna impact business a lot, given the timing that we're doing this. Whereas if we do it in the high, in the summer season, May, June, July, August, less impact on the local business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Public comments to open. Mr. Ringo.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, I totally agree with David. This is the beginning of our season, and we all struggle through as merchants in the town core, Cave Creek, and others. I don't see what's the big rush that we have to do this unless there is something in a contract that says that. But as a citizen and a merchant in Cave Creek, it should be the end of our season and get through the summer months. David mentioned, and we all know the events that we have, have going, and we need this traffic flow to continue smoothly through our town. And I've never seen a plan of how you're going to build this bike lane and the process involved in it. I don't think any merchants in the town core have seen it. So I would like to see how they're going to build this through the town core and what medium is going to be moved, taken away, or we have no idea. You all know that how I feel about this bike lane. The only thing good, it makes the town more diverse and shows that we have a lot of things to offer to everybody that comes and visits our town. But I'm against it, but that's just me. And so to delay this, I don't see the big deal of starting it like right away at the beginning of our season. I think we should delay it until the end of this season. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ringo. Public comment is still open.
Mr. Mayor, is it appropriate for me to ask a question?
The question, yes.
Yeah. And would you speak to the issue of delaying this project until the spring, until it can be mostly done during the summer?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Councilman McGuire, staff met with the project manager from ADOT last week, and we discussed the possibility of reorganizing priorities. As people have said, we thought that the project would be started by now. I can't move ADOT along any faster, but we do have the opportunity to sit down with the successful bidder and come up with a construction schedule that meets the needs of both communities. We've already discussed what we need in terms of keeping business access open, and I believe we can also set the priority where we work outside the town cores and then come back to it after the high season.
However, you want to be not to interrupt what I do, because I think you're giving some false hope. ADOT's got a track project, they got a timetable. If you delay it, it's going to cost more. They won't hold the flow because it quotes only so much. So I think all that's all nice and discussing that option. I think the reality is it'll just cost you more money, and it won't be 50,000 you're looking at now. It's going to be 100,000. It's going to be divided up. So I mean, these bids they make are for short term. They're within the next 60 days. So the reality is, if you do try to delay it, it's just going to cost the town more money. It may not cost the businesses, but it will cost the town definitely more money.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, and I do encourage staff to do what they can to prioritize the various phases of construction of this project so that the impact on their business is minimal. I don't think we can avoid completely any kind of impact, but
Both communities are working on that.
that's what I'm getting for. Thank you.
Question? Councilman
Statement and question. I was also concerned with the timing as months have gone by that where we theoretically were going to be under construction. I asked Ian about it a few weeks ago and about whether, in fact, can we delay it. I think you said no, we can't. If I were king of the world, I'd say there's no way we should start construction before after the season. You make perfect sense. Mr. Ringo makes perfect sense. I don't understand personally, even if it costs a little more, why we're going to be creating at least minor havoc all through the season. The business owners don't want it. I don't know why we would want it. Again, I understand saving a little money, and who knows, maybe the bid would be less in a year. We don't know. So the question is it still the case, Ian, that we cannot push it back, or that we just don't want to push it back? Because I would at almost any imagined cost push back.
I would agree with the town manager that I don't believe we could delay the project. I believe we could reprioritize, as I stated, so.
Move portions around somewhat, but not.
Why don't you start Carefree first and then start off there, for miles.
There you go.
And then just, slowly bring it down to us.
Councilwoman Clancy, that is in fact the outlying areas.
Okay, good. That might help.
Are there additional questions? Let's get a motion on the floor. Councilor Nestor?
Yes, move to approve the additional expenditure for funds for the Cave Creek Road Bike Lane project not to exceed $50,630.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Councilor Nestor?
This project has been in and around both towns for about 5 years. And it's not only a major safety issue, but to give you a little background on how the state of Arizona works, when you have a project that has been bid, and you have an estimate, in this case, these guys were a little over ADOT's estimates. If it drops out of the 5-year program, or drops out of the 3-year program, not the state of New York, you lose it. And my background in history is many projects have been tabled, never, or on hold, never to surface again. You also heard the planning director indicate that there is some movement in what they can do once the project is a go. Using another example, I spent some time recently with the town of Carefree. They have a bigger issue than we do, because when you get to the stop sign, they have many more driveways than we do. So that'll require different barricades, all the businesses and whatnot. We will make every effort to accommodate the Cave Creek business community, but you can't delay it. It's a done deal.
Councilor Navarro, you have a second.
Councilman Esser obviously has more experience with these things than I do, and I appreciate the information he has given us. I think we need to see these kinds of projects, especially when so much of the money is picked up by entities outside Cave Creek, as an investment. The sooner it gets done, the sooner that we reap the benefits of the access that this has for people coming in for the businesses. So hopefully this can be done with a minimum amount of disruption, but it really looks like we're boxed into doing it at this time as the best of the alternatives.
Councilman Lipsky?
A couple of things, just real quick. There are 2 Mark Lipskys, and I'm confused fairly frequently with the other one. I've produced some very small movies. I'm not the one that produced all those bad Eddie Murphy movies. So please don't ever accuse me of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I also just want to say that to Mr. Ringo that I don't know if you're ever out there biking. I know you're out there riding, but not necessarily on a bicycle. But not only safety, as Councilman Esser mentioned, but I think it's going to bring a tremendous amount of commerce to this town. Having functional, real-life bike lanes as opposed to mostly nothing, all up and down Cave Creek Road and all up and down Pima. There are bike lanes, but there are tons and tons and tons of people who don't live here who would be riding through here if we had a bike lane that connected that all up. And that's what this is going to do, and I think it's going to be great for business, and as well as safety. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Councilman Bunch?
No, I don't.
Councilwoman Clancy?
I don't have anything to say. It's throughout the United States now. Everywhere you go, they want to put bike lanes, and they want to get people out of their cars, and they want to get them in bike lanes, and who knows, 100 years from now, we may all be riding bikes in Cave Creek.
I hope I live that way.
Lay on your horse. I'm for this project, and I believe, one, it's a major safety project, and two, I concur with Mr. Lipsky, or Councilman Lipsky, that in fact is a boost to not only to bring in different kinds of people into town, but also bring in more people into town. I would not be myself if I didn't at least comment briefly on what seems to be a bit of a paradox, that folks now are from the town core worried about closed traffic lanes and traffic moving through slowly, or excuse me, briskly. Gee, we should just plan this for bike week and then nobody will notice. Because nobody can get through town for a couple of weeks anyway.
Mayor, Mayor and Council, just also some businesses, like the Warnito, we've not represented here, it's a benefit for them because they were making a left in for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten done. So some businesses are really actually gonna, after the project, gonna have some direct benefit to it. So, it will help.
Thank you.
Well, this project has been trying to come to fruition for some time, for many years. And it's important in the positive impact it can have on the community. Equally important is care has to be taken by staff to coordinate with our business owners to make sure that the businesses are not adversely affected, especially during the season when everybody makes money. If you'd call the roll, please. Yeah.
Councilman Esser?
Yes.
Councilman McGuire?
Yes.
Councilwoman Clancy?
Yes.
Councilman Bunch?
Yes.
Councilman Lipsky?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lamar?
Yes.
Mayor Francie?
Yes, by vote of 7-0, makes it unanimous. The motion clearly passes. Thank you, Council. Motion to adjourn, Council.
So moved.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.